Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're dissecting the latest financial results from IndusInd Bank. It's been a period with quite a bit of news around them, so this should be an insightful discussion.
Absolutely. IndusInd Bank is one of India's prominent private sector banks, offering a range of banking products and financial services. Key entities under its umbrella include Bharat Financial Inclusion Limited, or BFIL, its microfinance arm, and IndusInd Marketing and Financial Services Private Limited, or IMFS, an associate.
Right, so the bank has released its audited standalone and consolidated financial results for the quarter and financial year ended March 31st, 2025. The Board of Directors approved these results in their meeting held on May 21st, 2025. We'll be looking at both the consolidated and standalone figures.
Correct. And it's important to note upfront, as highlighted in their press release and financial notes, that the bank has undertaken significant reviews and made adjustments related to certain past irregularities, which heavily impacted the Q4 and full year numbers for FY25.
Let's start with the consolidated financials. What does the top line, the total income, look like for the fourth quarter of FY25?
For the fourth quarter of FY25, on a consolidated basis, IndusInd Bank reported a total income, that's interest earned, plus other income, of 11,342.67 crore rupees. Now comparing this year over year, it's down from 14,706.66 crore rupees in Q4 of FY24. That's a decrease of about 22.9%.
And how does that Q4 total income compare sequentially against Q3 of FY25?
Quarter for quarter, the total income of 11,342.67 crore rupees is also down from 15,155.80 crore rupees in Q3 FY25, a sequential decrease of roughly 25.2%.
Okay, a notable drop both year over year and quarter over quarter for total income in Q4. How about for the full financial year FY25 on a consolidated basis?
For the full financial year FY25, the consolidated total income stood at 56,358.10 crore rupees. This is actually up by 2.2% compared to 55,143.98 crore rupees in FY24, so an annual increase despite the weak fourth quarter.
Interesting. Let's move to the operating profit, which we can use as a proxy for EBITDA. What are the consolidated figures for operating profit before provisions and contingencies, or PPOP?
In Q4 FY25, the consolidated PPOP was actually a negative 490.88 crore rupees. This is a stark contrast to a positive PPOP of 4,081.54 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
A negative PPOP in Q4, wow. What about the sequential performance for PPOP?
Sequentially, that negative 490.88 crore rupees in Q4 FY25 is down significantly from a positive PPOP of 3,600.65 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. This clearly shows the impact of the issues and adjustments in the fourth quarter.
And for the full year FY25, what was the consolidated PPOP?
For the full year FY25, the consolidated PPOP was 10,661.40 crore rupees. This is down 32.8% from 15,864.06 crore rupees in FY24. The Q4 performance has clearly dragged down the annual PPOP.
Understood. Now let's look at the consolidated profit before tax PBT. How did that fare in Q4 and for the full year?
For Q4 FY25, the consolidated PBT was a loss of 3,012.96 crore rupees. This compares to a profit of 3,131.31 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially for PBT?
Sequentially, the Q4 FY25 PBT loss of 3,012.96 crore rupees is a sharp decline from a profit of 1,857.02 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, the consolidated PBT was 3,525.75 crore rupees, which is down 70.6% from 11,979.20 crore rupees in FY24.
And the bottom line, the consolidated profit after tax PAT, including the share from associates?
The consolidated PAT for Q4 FY25 was a net loss of 2,328.87 crore rupees. This is against a net profit of 2,349.5 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
How does that Q4 PAT look quarter over quarter?
Sequentially, the Q4 loss of 2,328.87 crore rupees compares to a net profit of 1,402.33 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, the consolidated PAT stood at 2,575.54 crore rupees. This is a significant 71.3% decrease from 8,977.30 crore rupees in FY24.
That brings us to consolidated earnings per share, EPS.
Yes, the basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was negative 29.90 rupees compared to positive 30.19 rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it's down from positive 18.01 rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, the basic EPS was 33.07 rupees, down from 115.54 rupees in FY24.
What about other income on a consolidated basis? Was that a significant factor?
For Q4 FY25, consolidated other income was 708.83 crore rupees, a sharp decrease of 71.7% from 2,508.13 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it was also down 69.9% from 2,355.03 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, other income was 7,690.44 crore rupees, down 18.2% from 9,395.77 crore rupees in FY24. So a substantial drop in other income also contributed to the Q4 and annual performance.
Now let's switch to the standalone financials. Could you walk us through the key metrics for IndusInd Bank on a standalone basis, perhaps highlighting any major differences from the consolidated picture? Let's start with total income for Q4 and FY25.
Certainly. On a standalone basis for Q4 FY25, the total income was 11,342.65 crore rupees, which is very close to the consolidated figure. Year over year, this was down 22.8% from 14,699.01 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it was down 25.1% from 15,151.01 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone total income was 56,351.86 crore rupees, up 2.2% from 55,136.06 crore rupees in FY24. Again, very similar to the consolidated trend.
And the standalone operating profit, PPOP, for Q4 and FY25?
Standalone PPOP for Q4 FY25 was negative 472.51 crore rupees compared to a positive 4,027.10 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it fell from a positive PPOP of 3,598.91 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone PPOP was 10,644.86 crore rupees, down 32.4% from 15,740.27 crore rupees in FY24.
How about the standalone profit before tax, PBT?
Standalone PBT for Q4 FY25 was a loss of 2,889.08 crore rupees against a profit of 3,127.99 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it was down from a profit of 1,855.28 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone PBT was 3,614.72 crore rupees, a decrease of 69.7% from 11,941.53 crore rupees in FY24.
And the standalone profit after tax, PAT?
Standalone PAT for Q4 FY25 was a net loss of 2,235.99 crore rupees compared to a profit of 2,346.84 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it dropped from a profit of 1,401.28 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone PAT was 2,642.90 crore rupees, down 70.5% from 8,949.78 crore rupees in FY24.
And finally, the standalone EPS?
Standalone basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was negative 28.71 rupees versus positive 30.16 rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it was down from positive 17.99 rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone basic EPS was 33.93 rupees, compared to 115.19 rupees in FY24. So broadly, the standalone figures mirror the consolidated trends very closely, which isn't surprising given BFIL is a significant part, but the core banking operations drive these headline numbers. The Q4 loss is evident in both.
Let's talk about profitability margins. What can we infer from these numbers for both consolidated and standalone?
Given the net loss in Q4, the net profit margin for that quarter was negative. For Q4 FY25 consolidated, it was approximately negative 20.55%. For standalone, it was about negative 19.71%. For the full year FY25, the consolidated net profit margin was around 4.57%, and for standalone, it was about 4.69%. These are significantly lower than FY24 due to the Q4 impact. The operating profit margin, PPOP as a percentage of total income, for Q4 was also negative. For FY25 consolidated PPOP margin was 18.92%, down from 28.77% in FY24.
Were there any specific exceptional items reported, or is the Q4 loss primarily due to the high provisions and write-offs related to the discrepancies?
The financial statements don't list exceptional items in the traditional sense. However, as detailed in Note 11, 12, and 13 of the consolidated financials and similar notes in the standalone, there were significant prior period items rectified. For instance, Note 11 mentions a write-off of 1,959.98 crore rupees in other assets related to internal trades derivative accounting from FY16. Note 13 mentions an adverse impact of 422.56 crore rupees in Q4 due to incorrect recording of microfinance interest and fee income. Note 14 discusses an adverse impact of 1,969.20 crore rupees in Q4 due to misclassification of microfinance loans and subsequent provisioning. These are substantial and explain the Q4 losses. Effectively, these are the exceptional items for this period.
Let's touch upon the balance sheet. Any key highlights from the consolidated and standalone balance sheets as of March 31st, 2025?
On the consolidated side, as of March 31st, 2025, total assets stood at 5,54,107 crore rupees, up 7.6% year-over-year. Deposits grew 6.8% to 4,10,862 crore rupees. Advances saw a marginal increase of 0.5% to 3,45,019 crore rupees. Net worth was 62,532 crore rupees, up 1.8%. On the standalone side, total assets were 5,54,018 crore rupees, also up 7.6%. Deposits grew 6.8% to 4,11,078 crore rupees. Advances were up 0.5% to 3,45,019 crore rupees. Standalone net worth was 62,260 crore rupees, up 2.0%. So the balance sheet sizes and key components are quite similar.
How about cash flow and any news on dividends?
Looking at the consolidated cash flow statement for FY25, net cash generated from operating activities was a positive 18,277.79 crore rupees, a significant improvement from a negative 16,924.71 crore rupees in FY24. Regarding dividends, the board meeting outcome letter explicitly states that the board did not consider a recommendation for a dividend for FY25 in order to preserve the bank's capital.
That makes sense given the circumstances. Now, could you shed some light on the segment performance on a consolidated basis for FY25?
Certainly. IndusInd Bank reports segments like treasury, corporate wholesale banking, retail banking, further split into digital and other retail and other banking business. For FY25, treasury operations reported external revenue of 7,370.30 crore rupees, slightly down from FY24. However, its profit before tax PBT was a negative 893.31 crore rupees, a sharp decline from a profit of 191.72 crore rupees in FY24. Segment assets were 1,37,941 crore rupees. Corporate wholesale banking saw external revenue of 12,788.79 crore rupees in FY25, down from 13,203.96 crore rupees. Its PBT was 3,139.20 crore rupees, down from 4,441.97 crore rupees. Segment assets stood at 1,32,339 crore rupees. Retail banking was the largest contributor to revenue with 39,976.15 crore rupees in FY25, up from 37,548.97 crore rupees. Within retail, digital banking revenue was 2,897.57 crore rupees. Its PBT was 1,045.88 crore rupees, up from 994.66 crore rupees. Other retail banking revenue was 37,078.58 crore rupees. Its PBT was 7,888.66 crore rupees, down from 13,545.20 crore rupees. This is a significant drop and likely reflects the microfinance portfolio issues. Retail banking segment assets in total were 2,58,807 crore rupees. Other banking business is small, with revenue of 53.96 crore rupees and PBT of 13.24 crore rupees. Overall, the consolidated PBT before unallocated expenses and provisions from segments was 11,193.67 crore rupees in FY25, down from 19,196.94 crore rupees in FY24. The hit in other retail banking PBT is very prominent.
So, looking at the full year FY25 performance, what's the summary and potential reasons for these trends?
For FY25, consolidated PAT dropped by 71.3% to 2,575 crore rupees and standalone PAT fell by 70.5% to 2,642 crore rupees. This was overwhelmingly driven by the massive increase in provisions and the write-offs rectifications made in Q4 FY25 to address the past discrepancies, particularly in the microfinance portfolio and derivative accounting. While total income for the year saw a modest consolidated growth of 2.2%, the PPOP fell by about 33% due to higher operating expenses and the impact of these rectifications on other income and interest income components, even before the large provisions. The bank has taken a big cleanup hit in Q4.
The press release and financial notes mentioned several significant events and internal reviews. Can you elaborate on those? These seem crucial to understanding the results.
Absolutely. This is the core of the story for this quarter and year. The press release highlights material developments in the recent past, stating the bank faced multiple material developments since March 25. They've taken measures to understand root causes, ascertain financial impact, take corrective actions, and fix accountability. It mentions internal and independent external reviews. Management commentary acknowledged the lapses were unfortunate, but emphasized a resolve to address issues. The notes to the financial statements, notes 11 to 15 in consolidated and similarly in standalone provide specifics. Note 11. Derivative accounting. An investigation revealed improper accounting for internal derivative trades from FY16 to FY24, leading to incorrect recognition of notional income. Accumulated notional profits of 1,959.98 crore rupees were written off as a prior period item in FY25. Note 12. Incorrect manual entries. Incorrect manual entries led to an unsubstantiated increase in other assets and liabilities by 595 crore rupees, which was set off in FY25 with no P&L impact for the year itself, but it indicates control weaknesses. Note 13. Microfinance income. Incorrect recording of cumulative interest income of 673.82 crore rupees and fee income of 172.58 crore rupees in the microfinance portfolio. The reversal in provisioning led to an adverse P&L impact of 422.56 crore rupees in Q4 FY25. Note 14. Microfinance loan classification. Misclassification of certain microfinance loans as standard. Correction led to additional NPA recognition of 1,885.19 crore rupees, provisioned at 95%, resulting in an adverse P&L impact of 1,969.20 crore rupees in Q4 FY25. The joint auditors, as per Note 13, filed a letter under Section 143, Subsection 12 of the Companies Act for suspected offences involving fraud related to these matters.
That's a lot of serious issues. What did the auditor's report say about all this? You mentioned an unmodified opinion, but were there any flags?
Yes. Both the consolidated and standalone auditors' reports, issued jointly by MSKA and Associates and Chokshi LLP, provide an unmodified opinion, meaning the financial statements give a true and fair view in conformity with accounting principles. However, and this is critical, both reports contain very significant emphasis of matter paragraphs. Paragraph 5. Consolidated paragraph 4 standalone details the board commission investigations into the discrepancies we just discussed. The derivative accounting, the incorrect interest fee income on microfinance loans, and the incorrect manual entries. It explicitly states the findings revealed involvement of senior bank officials, including former key management personnel, KMP, in overriding key internal controls and concealment from the board and statutory auditors regarding wrongful accounting practices. Crucially, this paragraph confirms the auditors have reported these matters to the central government under Section 143, subsection 12 of the Companies Act 2013, read with relevant rules, as suspected offences involving fraud may have been committed. Paragraph 6. Consolidated paragraph 5, standalone, highlights note 1718 about the board initiating an internal review of material financial statement account captions due to these KMP control overrides and subsequent rectifications. Paragraph 7, consolidated paragraph 6 standalone, refers to notes 16 and 17, 17 and 18, stating the bank is in the process of determining accountability and assessing legal or penal implications. The auditors state their opinion is not modified in respect of these matters. This means they agree with how the bank has accounted for these issues in the FY25 financials, i.e., the write-offs and provisions. But they are emphasizing the seriousness and ongoing nature of these governance and accountability issues.
So an unmodified opinion, but with extremely strong emphasis of matter paragraphs highlighting potential fraud and ongoing investigations. What's the outlook for IndusInd Bank given this, and what are the key risks?
The outlook is quite mixed and clouded by these significant governance concerns. On one hand, the bank has taken large provisions and write-offs in Q4, which could be seen as a step towards cleaning up the books. The full year, FY25, was still profitable despite the Q4 loss. Capital adequacy remains above regulatory requirements at 16.24%. However, the risks are substantial. Reputational risk. The findings of senior management involvement and concealment are very damaging. Regulatory risk. Investigations by RBI, SEBI, and other authorities could lead to penalties. The Section 143 subsection 12, reporting itself, is a major red flag for regulators. Further financial impact. While large provisions are taken, the notes mention ongoing processes for accountability and legal implications. There could be further financial fallout. Investor confidence. Such events can severely shake investor confidence. Operational distraction. Dealing with these investigations can distract management. Credit ratings. Rating agencies will be watching very closely. The press release mentions a leadership transition with the CEO search ongoing, which adds another layer of uncertainty, but also an opportunity for a fresh start. Disclaimer. Listeners are advised that this is an analysis of publicly available information and not investment advice. Please consult with a certified financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
To conclude, IndusInd Bank's FY25 results, particularly Q4, were heavily impacted by the bank's efforts to address and provide for significant past accounting irregularities and governance lapses. While the bank reported a full-year profit, the fourth quarter saw a substantial loss due to these cleanup activities. The auditors issued an unmodified opinion, but with very serious emphasis of matter paragraphs, highlighting the involvement of senior officials in overriding controls and potential fraud, which has been reported to the government.
Exactly. The key takeaway is that, while the reported numbers for FY25 reflect these major adjustments, the underlying issues of governance, internal controls, and the ongoing process to fix accountability are paramount. The bank is navigating a very challenging period, and future stability will depend on a thorough resolution of these issues and restoring stakeholder trust. The road ahead will be closely watched.
A very complex situation indeed. Thanks for breaking that down for us. That's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for having me.